I say just quantitative and qualitative analysis. Hold on, I see there's someone coming in. Yeah, just give me a second, just navigating through this. Okay, 4 people. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, good, great. Okay, so if can you see the screen? I mean, can you see the presentation? All good? Yeah. Good. Great. So what I want to do today is, as you can see, the slide presentation is only 15 slides, but what I want to do is I want to, once we go through, obviously, the slides and we chat about quantitative, qualitative analysis, and obviously how it applies to you and the AMTs as well. Then what I would like to first do is then show you. So it's the survey that I did, and I think I shared it with you. It's the survey that I did for the second years. But because it applies directly to you, we're going to go through the survey that obviously it's the sample survey that I just did there. It's got like 3 or 4 or 5 questions, whatever it may be. I'll show you obviously how to develop the questions and why they would be relevant questions, right? And then we are going to extend on that, I'm saying, here in class, right? Okay. All right. So just in terms of this is obviously lesson 10. So we're looking at researching your audience, right? And what we are going to be looking through is, as I said, just the differences between quantitative, qualitative analysis, how we're going to, so we'll discuss about how you're going to do, how you're going to run, let's say, a focus group. Specifically in your case, you're going to do the one-on-one survey. So how to conduct that particular interview with that person as they fill in your form, whether it be virtually or whether it be in person, right? Again, I teach this stuff quite repetitively through some other classes. So if I do repeat myself, I do disclaim, excuse me, right? So the music research, we will touch on obviously how auditory music testing is run, right? But we will focus on how, obviously, when we get back to class, so we're talking next week. I'm not too sure whether the next lesson is the practical, but if it is, then I'm going to move it to the week after and follow with another theory lesson on Thursday, a theory-based one, right? But anyway, my point is that when we get for the 3 hours next week, right, we are, I mean, saying in class, so that you can use also the Wi-Fi, please. And you can download all the music and decide on which ones are in the current charts or the top 40 or your bubbling unders, whatever it may be, you understand, so that you can sit and compile something that's correct and that's obviously relevant to, obviously the charts and the references that you're using, just to give you a bit of a throw forward as to what's going to happen in the next week, right? So how and I'll talk around how music research is conducted, right? Small scale audiences, discuss the problems of measuring small or community stations, right? What is the big problem that small stations have in terms of retain or let's say collecting, should I say, information or stats or data, whatever it may be, and then right, obviously to learn from the media academics, right? If I had to do something like this, so never mind about the take-home exercise, if we just had to start to discuss how we would ask certain questions that are relevant to, remember, we're looking at this composite listener who is the BMH student. You're obviously defining your station and your programming and your sponsorships, your competitions, your music, whatever it is, right? Everything, right? Of this particular typical listener, BMH student, aged between, let's say, 18 to about 25, black, male, female, and we're talking a disposable income of around about 1,500 to about even 4,000 Rand per month. Okay, so we're looking at this particular person and would like to ask certain questions that, perhaps maybe can give us some more information about these aspects of their life. Okay. So, for example, so I'm not saying every question must now relate to each one of these things. This is about the composite listener here. So, things that would define the composite listener. I see that you can just okay. If someone comes in, will you just let them in? Okay, appreciate it. Okay, appreciate it. Right. So the composite listener would probably be made up of school. So again, the composite listener, we are also going to cover in an upcoming lesson. So the full development of a composite listener, but it's how we're understanding the listener's lifestyle. So we're going to map out what this particular person is about. A student is about school, everything that has to do around school. So, for example, their worries about failing, or let's say achieving, or perhaps maybe being the best in their class. Understanding different subject matter is one of that. Obviously, is part of school. Relationships with lecturers, for example, or the way that school is preparing them for, is school not preparing you, I say legitimately, for the real world, and in what ways, So experiential learning, your practical, like your branding, whatever it may be, right? With friends, like friends can be blended under relationships where sex and obviously partners and friends and relationships with your family can also come in. But I would probably put family separate, right? Um, Friends, there can be aspects of your own identity, because at this point in your life you're really learning, and you quite organically, so normal, quite in a normal way, you are learning who you want to actually be around, what your friends say about you. So I'm saying as a person, so they should be an extension of who you are, and that's really what you're going to find out, or want to enjoy exploring and getting to in the next couple of years, or you probably have, because you're third years anyway. But the way that friends obviously do affect, let's say, your decisions, also the way that you do see yourself, your behavior, your opinions, and also your trust, I suppose, to a large extent. Are you able to let someone in? Someone coming? Okay, just let them. Oh, here comes another person. All right. As I was saying. So, let's look at, just in terms of relationships, you want to be able to also know how to stand your own ground, just in general, whatever relationships it is. If it's, let's say, just people that you know as acquaintances, people that you meet for networking, people that that become your partners, or maybe some of you are married, at this point. So it could be a husband or a wife. Relationships. So we're talking, let's say, I say romantic relationships in that respect. But again, relationships, even a relationship, even with yourself, is very important. Okay, so an intra relationship with yourself, and the way that you treat yourself, the way that you see yourself, the way that you are developing, some kind of first step to self actualization, and also knowing exactly who you are amongst the world around you, in the world around you. Sex, very obviously normal topic, nothing taboo about that. I'm saying because you all are adults, right? So, in what ways can we talk about sex? So, for example, safe sex or unsafe sex, or let's say there can be sexual culture, there can be sexual norms, or new. I would say, I don't know, there can be new adapting sexual norms. There could be abdicating from sex completely, that we can talk about. We can have mental states that were, or mental, yeah, so I say mental status quos that people are at in terms of their relationship to sex, because of perhaps maybe their past, and it could have been traumatic, or in some other way. It's not only just about maybe like obviously sexual abuse, or rape or whatever, but it could be other things. It could be psychological things that have been adapted over many years, or a certain time in their life, whatever it may be, right? Also, sexual identity is important to, yeah, I'm saying, a growth period in youth, okay, like the youth of today. So online and social media would probably fall under the same space here. So that alter ego is the first thing that we want to look at. So obviously who you project on social media, and find alter ego is something always negative. There's a negative connotation to alter egos, because we once say don't have an alter ego, you can't live up to an alter ego, right? So an alter ego is someone, let's say you decide to be, let's say, this fun, outgoing, bubbly, positive person, and that's what you find seems to attract people to you, and maybe even get you work or whatever it may be, and it's working for you, even on social media, right? So you go and you box yourself into a certain little, like a small little compartment, right? A little stereotype, and you can't feel, eventually, because of the pressure of social media, like you can't feel and express yourself in any other way. Otherwise, you're going to break your pseudo identity, your alter ego, right? What you do need to know is that we are partly, where there is an alter ego to all of us on social media. Why? Because the world demands that, because the nature of social media demands that. We want to know certain parts of you. We don't know, we don't want to know all parts of you, or offensive parts of you. Same thing like on air. And also what you propagate, you shouldn't be in contradiction to, unless it's part of your growth spurt and you're growing along with your followers, and it's a very natural journey for you, and you know how to manage that in terms of branding yourself very intellectually, right? So growth is obviously a part of that, and it's very normal. But again, the impact of social media, so on your psyche, definitely. What are your friends? So you're being influenced by peer pressure, and you're being influenced by, like, how many times you have to be there, do you have to be active or not, whatever it is. In this particular context, because you are media practitioners or growing media practitioners, you do have to be on social media, and you do have to produce online content. You have to have an online presence, because it is essential, mandatory for your career and any way that you want to go moving forward, right? Okay. And then family. So family can work into, obviously, so the role that you play in your family, the stereotype that maybe your family has put you under, the stereotypes of your family and extended family, the culture that you have been brought up in, the traditions, the religion, the conflict that you have. Is it with your siblings? Is it with your parents? Is it with your grandparents? Do you have, I'm saying, like direct family, so we call it DNA family, or have you got an extended, like, did you have to procreate your own ad hoc family, because not everyone has a mom or a dad or whatever it is. So maybe it's an aunt, or maybe it's a cousin. And again, the different types of conversations and impact, like, do you feel, what like type of level of trust and what type of level of understanding of love, and self-affirmation do you get from family, right? So why am I going on about all these things? Everything that I spoke of, and so much more, when composing this particular typical listener, so the composite listener, allows us to make business decisions on radio. So programming, again, sales, PR, marketing, management, whatever it is, events like OBs, that type of stuff, right? Presence, targeting, that type, everything and anything that we can attribute to what happens in a station, right? We can attribute to how we obviously put this typical listener and understand them properly. Once you have your composite listener understood, is only actually when you want to start in quantifying or quality, like in terms of quality analysis, right? So quantitative and qualitative analysis. Um, in your textbook, it's page 66. So this is the managing radio textbook, right? Management of radio. Quantitative, so quantity, right, means numbers, counting things, anything that's close-ended. So questions that are close-ended that give you stats, okay? So the yes/no questions, the scale something from 1 to 10, or scale it from 1 to 5, for 1 being very bad and 5 being very good, whatever it is in terms of experience, I don't know, or your like for something. Remember, why are we asking, why are we running the surveys? We need to go and find out everything about their lifestyle. So every aspect about not only what music they like or where they spend their money, but also who they spend their time with. How do they spend their extra time? What is their, like, or what is their, what are they worried about in their in their, or what focus do they have in their studies? What's their main focus? What are the most important things when it comes to self-identity, or like growth, self-growth, whatever it may be, right? Are qualitative, for example, because I'm asking open-ended questions. Close-ended, open-ended. Qualitative means attitudes, tastes, perceptions. Methods are more vague. In other words, open-ended question, the whys, the hows, that tell me more, the list three things, list five things, as I've just said there, right? Things that whenever you can look at someone, like let's say someone that you are chatting to, right? And they're going to give a very unique answer, okay? And you're going to also push them to explain a little bit more. Like, tell me a little bit more. What do you mean by that? Why don't you like this particular genre? Whatever it may be, if that's part of what you're asking. Please don't take these as notes, as definitive questions, right? Okay, just yet. So think back to what your favorite song was was this time last year, and has it changed? Why? So that's, for me, there's no purpose to that. I'm saying within our research, it might be, so it's a question, but it's an irrelevant question, because I can't really make a business decision based on individual favor. I'm saying individuals' responses to, for example, this, because let's say I do 10 people, which you're going to do, right? Everyone can be different, and then what must I do with that? Like, so now I must make a business decision based on 10 unique answers, right? So, for example, this doesn't make, I've got to take the authority, because I am an authority. I'm saying not me, I'm saying me as the person executing the survey. So I am an authority within the medium as well. And I would know how to, let's say, get songs that are favored by my listeners, and by focus groups, and by my people that obviously participate in the AMTs, etc. Right? Okay. Just I'm just going to pause there for a second. Are there any questions so far up to this point? No one? Okay. All right. So then I'm going to move on. All right. So let's continue. Qualitative versus quantitative. Why are both very important? Important, excuse me. So with quantity, right? Quantitative, we can see patterns, right? We can see patterns. We can do averages. We can do sums. We can see totals. We can see popularity. We can see where things are leaning towards polar opposites. Whatever it may be, right? So it allows us to understand basic facts about the listener. What doesn't count are the questions, like I said there. What is your sex? Like, what do you earn? What is your name? And what is your age? These are neither nor of these. They're not important I'm saying, to banner under quantity or qualitative. They are mandatory anyway, just as a bypass, to bypass just what I'm saying. Yeah. How many times you listen to the station per week? How many times do you go to the movies per month? How much money do you earn? Right. Okay. As I said there, this is a mandatory question, because we want to know, for example, where our SEMs lie, but that is probably also given to us by larger corporations like the BRC, or there are many independent existing companies that will also be hired by either community or commercial stations to go and do extra research for them. So the BRC is not the be all and end all of stats that radio stations go. But we also find that there are many independents that can go and do this for us professionally, because that's what they do for a living, right? But anyway, quantitative, it will give you a number, right? Okay, there's a number over there and a number over there, and we can start getting some summations, right? Qualitative allows us to understand the needs and the wants of the listener. So we're able to understand trends that the listeners are embracing, but to a much deeper level. So, for example, which your favorite song? I'm gonna just take that out for the moment, not to confuse you, right? Who is your favorite presenter and why? Is a valid question to ask, right? So, be it on your current station, be it on a competitive station, competitor station, yeah, right. Because the thing is that both have we both have it. Both will yield a purpose, like the reason for. If we can see that people are enjoying a certain presenter or certain show, and they can tell us exactly why, we can definitely capitalize on that as well. We can also see whether there are certain presenters and shows that are not being acknowledged at all, and we can take obviously like the correct actions to see what is going on there. Is it something bad? Is it because maybe there isn't enough, let's say, exposure from our side, like marketing from their side? Um, are people just not like, are our particular listeners not active at that time? I'm saying to active in terms of like a radio culture, a radio listening culture. Are they like the majority of them or all of them busy somewhere else? TV, are going out, hobbies, I don't really know, right? There could be many different reasons. That's why with qualitative analysis and quantitative, we need to take all the information that we do get, and then because we're professionals, right, we need to go and say there's more. There's a story behind what we are getting from these surface level experiences or interactions with our listeners, right? So when we do focus groups, for example, focus groups can also definitely include people that do not listen to the station, that could also fill out our surveys and our focus group forms, whatever, because we would like to also know in there a lot of the questions they might not be able to answer because they are station specific, but they could definitely give us a lot of insight as to why they don't listen to the station, what their perception is of the station, why they do prefer competitor stations, right? And what works for them, right? And whether or not they are potential new listeners or not, or they fall into a completely different sect or group altogether. So if we look at the focus groups, so there's no there's it's a small number of people. It could be 4, 15, it could be 20, 30, it could be 50 people, right? Because focus groups take so long, they should be long. They should be at least like about 2 or 3 hours to get like the most out of that particular interaction. Ideally, it should be something that is mediated by a person that is a professional that understands the process. There mustn't be any kind of influence. So when I say that, it needs to be completely objective so that you can encourage the people that are taking part in your focus group or filling out your surveys to answer completely honestly. Do you understand? And also to the best of their ability, so as much as they can. And if they need explanation, you're going to come in, like I say, as a mediator, give them some information, give them some clarity, give them some direction, and then they will go, obviously, and they'll answer those questions for you, right? Okay. So again, it's a formal process that we do want to make sure that the people are very comfortable, that they know that the mediator there could be just a mediator, and there could be people that are asking, I'm saying that are leading the conversation, I'm saying the focus group, that they are approachable and they are friendly, right? Because that's very important. Like I said, professional as well. And also, again, know what they are doing, right? So, moving along. So just in terms of, before I get to more qualitative methods, so with the auditory music testing, I'm going to check again. Are there any questions around what I have covered? Everyone's good. I'm going to take the ned as a yes. Okay. Right. So with the auditory music testing, which is also done digitally right now. So what happens is there could be a large, we're talking about between from 700 to about even like 2,000 songs, or sorry, 1,500 songs at any one given time of conducting like an auditorium music test with a selection of a large amount of people. So we're talking over 250 people at the very least when you're looking at trying to get a good understanding for what is working, what will happen. So it is good to control the process, right? But so when I say control the process, like you actually have the people in front of you, it may be a little bit archaic, quote unquote, right? Because we can do this digitally. We can also bring people on as I'm saying where they can go listen to the music in their own time, but then obviously correct systems have to orchestrate, I'm saying, conduct that. In other words, like we can't have people skip over like certain songs, play like 2 or 3 seconds and just work for it for the money. In other words, just rate stuff because they just want to get paid, right? So, for example, the system will not allow, let's say, a participant to skip over a song, or let's say stop a song, or it needs to play through the entire bridge and the entire chorus, or the hook of the song and the chorus, whatever it may be, right? The hook and the bridge for me are the same thing, right? So, so they would have to listen to it and then give it a proper rating. So ratings can vary. I'm saying they can be verbal. I'm saying so they can be written. It can say from very good or hot for me, or I love it, or whatever it is, to completely dislike it, or it's really I've listened to this far too many times, like it's old or whatever. I don't know. There can be many I'm saying literal ratings, right? I prefer to keep this simple and rate it from 1 to 10. Okay. There's no real need to explain further. I'm saying so. Oh, what does the song make you feel like? We don't need that type of information, because the thing is, again, we're constructing that particular database based on already like research that the station has done, the music department has done and compiled. And now, well, in the case where we have an archive of, let's say that it's about 1,500 songs, right, that are in rotation on our playlist, right? Like that is being refreshed consistently according to the AMT results, right? So because again, so many songs are listened to in a normal process, it'll take a really long time, which is why we won't, unless the songs, so I'm saying, so for example, in your case, doing it one-on-one with the 50 songs, that's fine. It's going to take about, let's say, 2 hours to get through it, but it is manageable. It is, there's a realistic finite end to it, and it can be controlled, and you can also see their reactions and get like for me, what you're going to get out of this is learning how to go through the process, which is super important. And once you obviously do it, you're going to enjoy that you did it, and you might not believe me now, but you will when you actually do get it done, right? So again, what we do is, again, they play the song, they rate the song. How does it look like? Very simple. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, right? um, the impact of the RAM's figures on music testing. So are you sure that you're not losing listeners due to the music selection that you are currently playing? Yes, they do ask those yes/no questions, or please select, as we've seen in the Rams class, right? Where you can say, I mean, they'll say the music that you play is bad, and so this is the reason I'm not listening, right? It's a very broad answer that the BRC will provide, a broad result, but you at least know that you're doing something wrong. We can provide you with a solution to the question. Well, the Survey Workshop is a research company that does music testing such as AMTs countrywide, right? So this particular is not ours, it's overseas, right? Invest 5 minutes to review AMTs and convince yourself that we are able to help you. Quote unquote, this comes from there. Also, to ensure the music that you play is what your listeners want to hear. And then again, to contact them, like this is coming just directly from their site. Contact us if you're interested. Explain why, whatever we need to explain you through it, and why we can make it affordable to you. So, as I said there about hiring external people to do your focus groups or your research for you. There's a bit of a page that you can just go click and go have a look at. But at the end of it, hook of a song and the chorus, because it's the catchiest part, rated 1 to 10. 1 being obviously really bad, and 10 being it's an amazing track. They love it. So something when they're done electronically, they overseas, it's obviously quite advanced. They'll have different buttons they can click on, so that automatically it obviously will go and save that result, or that ranking or that rating, right? And depending on the sample size, songs over 70 or 80, ideally anything under Sure. I think about 65 actually is something that the station will not play at all. They'll just take it out of their rotation. So it must rank over 65, 70 to 80 to actually get on the playlist itself, right? Okay. So in your situation, because you have 50 songs, hopefully you do select songs that, I mean, for the 50, they are really likable songs and you do get high ratings for them. But you are, in your case, going to choose, let's say, obviously I said to you, you're gonna have to go and present the top songs, let's say the top 5 songs in each category, even though the alternative local is only 5, you can go and present them in order. Right. Okay. So you don't have to even include this, right? I'm saying in your particular case, the name of the song, I would include obviously the artist, the genre, the category that it's under, and then the rating that that particular participant is giving it. So you need their name, please, and their details, age, sex, and their name, right? Name and surname. And then they need to obviously go through with you and then rate the songs. Like obviously submit their songs, right? And submit their AMT report to you, and then you go to quantify. The scavenger hunt, I'm particularly not going to look at the moment. I will look at that a little bit later. Ideally, what I want to do is first cover as much, like if we can do the whole thing now in class, and obviously you're not going to copy and paste mine. Please don't do that and use that in yours, but we'll compile a collaborative, and then we'll come back to this as something that is a forecast for next week, right? But a collaborative document here. Give me a second, right? I'm just going to share the word. So there's that, as you can see there. All right. So, you can see that. I'm hoping you can see that. Good. Right. Again, so it is, obviously it was done for we start with, as you might remember, that you actually start with research and analysis in the second year, hence why it was already done. I'm saying this has already been done with the second years, right? So, but obviously applicable to you. Now, the main thing that I want to go through, obviously, and focus is, yes, the questions, but why? What did I want to do here? You have to check whether there is a purpose to asking the question, right? So, in other words, can you make a business decision based on the answers that you do get? Yes, I hear someone. Yes.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I'm not seeing anything regarding that word you were pulling up.
Can anyone else? Can you see it? Uh, is it Bontle, right? Bontle, Porsche,
Um,
Apelele.
can see the Word document.
Okay, you can see it. Okay, Jewel, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you can't see it. I can, let me just, so I'll do it again. I'm just going to share it again. Right. Here we go. And it should
Yeah,
be,
now it's better.
okay. All right, so let us go through each of the questions here. First, quantitative analysis, right? So the obvious one is please select obviously more than one. So you would say you would put check boxes in here, or they could just select, let's say, whatever it is, but you would quantify each one of these. Please select more. So select a music genre or genres that you like, and ideally you would say, please select more than one option below. Right, be very complete about it. So I only took 10. There are obviously more, so there should be about 14 or 15. Pop, R&B, Kwaito, Amapiano, Drum, Afro House, Afro Pop, House, EDM, and Jazz, right? You can then go and extend it, right? Obviously to a couple more. that you know are available out there and that are being listened to. Okay. So what is the purpose of this particular question? One, obviously, yes, selecting and engineering our playlist. So, for example, from here, you will see exactly obviously, which of the most popular, right? So, most popular here, you're going to populate your playlist, or you populate at least your AMTs with, right? Because you want to give them the music that they like. And if there are no votes for certain ones, then please just don't put it in. I'm saying to you, obviously for the core purpose of this particular exercise, just don't put it in, right? Okay, so but you will 10 to 1, you're going to get people that answer, let's say, about 5, 6, 7 of these, right? Out of, for example, these 10 here. But we want to also then select and engineer our playlist. Why do we do this? Because we want to increase the time spent listening at any one given point in the day, because music is played 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? So we want to make sure that the rotation that we do use within each clock, within each, obviously, hour throughout the day, like I say, is rotated correctly, so people can keep on listening, because there's a song that they like, a song that they like, a song that they like, and another song that they like. You understand? Back to back to back to back, back to back. And obviously we don't compromise on that. I know that at any one point you will get tired and you won't like every single song. Please, that's an obvious thing. But when we generate our playlist, we're looking at obviously our top selected songs, our favorites, like I say, the ones that ranked really highly in the auditory music testing, etc. So our rotation strategy will then also be affected. And we know also, like, where to place adverts, right? For example, within between the music sweeps, it will obviously tell us we want to increase loyalty, because if we can give them music that they like, because again, it's the number one reason why people listen to radio, right? If we can give them music they like, they're going to want to turn into a P1 listener. In other words, I'm only when I only listen to your station, no other station there. So many reasons why to ask that particular question. All right, there are so much more than just the 10 that I've listed here, and you will include more, for example, that are student related, career related, everything that comes from, let's say, the understanding that composite or typical listener, right? But what topics or which topics of information are you interested in? And again, please select more than one option. More than one option. Okay. You do all understand that this is again quantitative analysis. So you're going to get a number. So let's say maybe 10 people like pop, 7 people like R&B, 10 people like Kwaito, 7 people like Amapiano, etc., right? So that you will then represent that in a graph. All quantitative analysis must be represented then in graphs, so that you can decide on the right graph. Is it a line graph? Is it a bar graph? Is it a column graph, right? Not necessarily a pie chart, please, because for the only one that makes sense here is, for example, let's say the sex of people, and perhaps maybe you want to, let's say, separate age. But really, I would stay away from the pie charts for the moment. They serve no purpose in this context, right? Okay, so what is the purpose of this question over here? Programming decisions can be more accurately decided on. So if we see there's a bigger demand for, let's say, advice or interviews, then we're going to up that across, for example, in our programming, right? But not just put interviews everywhere. Strategically, we will move into a smarter way of putting like interviews, and podcasting them, or getting this type of interview or this type of subject matter focused on at particular times of day, depending on other research that, let's say, also helps us substantiate or justify this type of decision moving forward, or this type of stat. Right. So the time spent listening obviously is affected, right? We can reevaluate clocks. So, for example, let's just say people don't want to listen to, or they don't like sports. They're not interested in sports. We might actually minimize the sports completely to maybe only twice in one day. So maybe only 2 reports in the breakfast and maybe 2, like 1 at lunch and 1 in the drive, for example. Or maybe do away with it completely, right? Or if we see that there's a large demand for sports and we don't have, maybe we'll change the programming and include sports speciality shows, right? And let's say involve ourselves more at, let's say, live sporting events. So make sure that, let's say, outside broadcast, we can partner up with whoever is running that, the stadium, whatever it is. Make sure we're in between our listeners, where they're having a great time at a cricket, rugby, soccer match, whatever it is, and we can make money off that, right? But also awareness, and again, we want a brand that you can touch, feel, smell, taste, quote unquote, right? Right. The times are obviously affected. So, for example, I mean, we can again times and execution and review the scale and quantity of segmentation throughout our clocks, depending on what is popular or what is coming through as bigger trends here. We do know, or expect that music is going to be the most popular, right? News, according to Rams, again, weather and traffic are really important to people, but we don't know for the student. Maybe financial indicators are of no importance. Doesn't mean we have to exclude it. No, because you have to do a proper news bulletin, right? But you are not going to focus. You're not going to do a finance show. You're not doing any finance features. I'm saying that are. I'm saying up. So when I say upper level, like up market financial shows, you might, let's say, find out that money matters would be, let's say, one thing that you'd include here. For example, let's say money matters, right? Money matters, which are completely different to financial indicators, right? You might get a lot of votes, let's say here. Sorry, not votes, but you know what I mean, right? Okay, so there's a purpose to that. So, what do you spend your money on? Household goods, appliances, cleaning materials, toiletries, groceries, clothing, recreation, like going out on hobbies, electricity, water, rent, or bond. There's obviously, this is very generic, please. Like, you would have to completely structure this and to just more specific stuff, right? Because we can break down recreation, we can break down clothing, where you buy your clothing, where do you shop, right? Okay, for groceries and household goods. Like, do you pay for electricity through prepaid, or is it through whatever it is? I don't know. um Rent and bond could tell us a little bit more about the situation of that particular student. I'm guessing they would pay rent. And maybe like a unicorn will be paying a bond off, right? So a unicorn of a student. What do we want to do here with this type of information? Well, we want to target clients for advertising. Make sure that we are at the correct places for outside broadcasts, right? Okay. So again, with targeting clients, depending on who it is that they go and say. For example, as I said, like break that down. Clothing, what is it? Where do you buy your clothing from? Um, and again, in a broader sense, well, if they are shopping, like if they are spending a lot of money on groceries and household goods, then let's make sure that we have student specials from Clicks, Checkers, Pick and Pay, ShopRite, whatever it may be, right? Okay. Definitely, okay, about the OBs, right? Okay, because we can see, we can look at, let's say, recreation. We can also partner up with corporates, right, in any other sense as well, for outside broadcasts. It doesn't always have to be at like a music event or like whatever it is, a fun event. Um, Definitely purposeful content, and then restructure news and current affairs based on also what they are worried about or where their focus is, right? So now what I did in number 4 is that I created a hybrid question. So a hybrid is one that has quantitative, oh, sure, but let me not do that, both quantitative and qualitative um, portions of it. So I said there, first, how many stations do you currently listen to? Is it 1 or 2? Is it 3 or 4? Is it 5 or 6? So can you list the other stations, and then they will go and fill that in. Quantitative, qualitative. Please provide any reasons as to why you prefer these stations, and then you would push them to answer to extreme, like I'm saying, to the full capacity of what they can tell you about these stations and shows. What is the purpose here? Well, what we want to know what our competitors are doing. Are we doing it better, or are we doing it worse, or are we doing it at all? So this will support programming decisions. So I'm going to move to the two qualitative that I've written up here, and then we're going to get your input. Okay. So qualitative. So do you or don't you listen to BMH radio? Can you provide 3 reasons as to why you do, or 3 reasons as to why you don't? Right. Why is this important for us? Why can we use this? We use this to learn lessons. So lessons learned from what we are currently doing wrong or currently doing right. Okay, and from lessons learned, you should, any business should document lessons learned, so that once you've learned a lesson and you're in a similar situation in the future, all you need to do is go back and reference these lessons learned and see strategies that were constructed from what you might have done as a reaction to resources that you might have used that were useful, and costs and budgets and whatever it may be, right? Anyway, strategies around our strengths, weaknesses, and then obviously applying opportunities and avoiding threats. So applying SWOT, or even like we did, I think it was yesterday, was it? It was analysis. Right. Okay. All right. So list 5 things, if possible, that are most important in your daily life. So it could be money, it could be family, it could be studies, it could be fitness, it could be religion, it could be independence, it could be aspirations or career, whatever it may be, right? So very different things could be pushed from very different participants, right? What does this tell us? It supports focus on programming, right? So we can also push correct clients to what is important to the person. So let's say we find that in the top 5 across, let's say, is fitness. We can go and then make sure that we go to focus, let's say Planet Fitness or Virgin Active, whatever it may be, and tell them, listen, yeah, we've got a lot of students that would be interested in its student, obviously student, what is it? Not a subscriptions, man, memberships, right? So, and we could push like an OB with you. We can bring it here on campus. We can bring them there, whatever it may be. We can do an integration of whatever it may be, right? And we know that, let's say, you're going to have a lot of people gravitating to either one or the other club, or it doesn't matter, right? Okay, anyway, products, events, etc., in the right direction, okay, because we're going to get a little bit more specific as to what it is that these particular students want. Good. So let's go from here. Okay, let's go to quantitative or hybrid analysis, research. Okay, I want you to take, I want you to just take, and please don't, really, you're going to do what you want to do, but please don't like leave now. I want you to take 5 minutes to think about, so let's say from here just to before 3 o'clock, I want you to think about both quantitative and qualitative answers, okay, or questions that, obviously answering what I'm asking of you, right? But questions that we can add to this. Try and also ask yourself, what is the reason? So what's the purpose of coming up with these particular questions that I can add to my survey? I will then share this, as I think I have already anyway, but you can then start already with this. Okay, so does everyone understand? You can just give me a thumbs up. Okay, just take the next 6 minutes. Give me a cool thumbs up there. Right, thank you. Thank you. Bontle, Apelele. Right. Good. Cool. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna put myself on mute, right? Just to give you a second. If I'm gonna talk to myself, I don't have to interrupt you. Right. And then I'm gonna switch back on at 3 o'clock. Okay. So we can complete this. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at what each of yous have got as suggestions. Please, like they don't have to be correct, obviously. It's a test, so it's about you getting a better understanding as to perhaps maybe why, maybe you thought of a question, it might be correct, it might be correct, wrong, incorrect. So let's start with, do I pronounce it Tione? Tione. How do I say that so that I don't bastardize your name?
Dion.
Dione. Okay, thanks, Dione. Go ahead. Let's start with you.
Okay, can I use a quantitative question?
Sure. Go ahead.
How about how satisfied are you with the music selection? One being very dissatisfied, and then five being very satisfied, or even we can use that in a content question.
Hmm. So my thing is, so you're saying obviously it's the station plays right now, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So you're asking about BMH radios, let's say current music playlist. That's fine. It serves a purpose, you know. So if they do listen to the station, right? So we can actually we'll just put it here because it actually makes wait, where's the do not I can put it here. Do not, right? I can add maybe that just afterwards, right? Like let's say I'm just gonna tab it here. Just put a 1.1 for now. So is it so did you say how would you rate the music selection you said there? Selection playlist, right? On BMH radio. Right. Okay. So let's say I have to do a bit of a thing here. So let's go how would we do this? Uh Terrible. So I'm just gonna put a one here for you can clear this up. I'm saying to you when you do that, right? Um Bad. Um Two. Great. Uh Not great. Three would be needs work. Huh? Needs work. Four. I like it. Like it. uh, Like it. Five. I love it. Love it. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you would obviously again, and that's okay. I would change that to a two and make that to a three, just because. Let me just make it two. Let's see if it. Yeah, there we go. All right. And then you can just change this. I mean, this can be bullet point quanted. And there we go. It's better with my word skills. Anyway, okay. Can you give me another one? Can you give me another one? Good question. Uh um can you give me another one? Did you only come up with one?
I'm still thinking.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go back and forth. Jewel, can you speak?
Yes, I can. Sir. And
Okay.
I just want to
What
point
is
that I'm in the dark again, so I cannot see the word. Can you reshare the screen one more time? Sorry.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, but the question I have is a qualitative one, but I think it's a combination of both. But
It's
it
okay.
it was just to try and find out what is important to the listener. I chose the question: if there was a fire where you live, what are 5 things you would try to save? And to make it a qualitative, I added just the why. What are the 5 things? If there was a fire where you live, what are the 5 things you would try to save?
Yeah, I can't look. I mean, okay, fine. I can't say that there's nothing wrong with that question. It's quite fun as well. Okay, so if there was a fire where you live, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What are the 5 things you would save? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll say why. I'm gonna put it in now. Can you tell? Can you explain why? What I'll do here is then just, that's all right. Make sure that that's there. Not this without, I know it changes it to word changes it. Think if I do that, that's the irritation of word. Okay, so I would do that. Can you explain? And then I'll just copy and paste this. Copy. Just that there. Okay. Can you give me more? Let's try and work on more. So we can use another, like I say, we can just use another 9 minutes here. Let's think again. Let's think broadly. You can just think of all the things that we spoke about earlier. Those areas of school, of family, relationships, like again, money, obviously the self, etc. Well, like think about that when you want to put together, let's say, another question, right? So I would move this. All right, I'm just gonna move that down here where it belongs. Okay, so any suggestions? The numbering is incorrect there. Okay, we'll put a 4, yeah. Come on, then.
This is at what specific time would you turn on your radio? I'm not sure what purpose it serves, but I think it's relevant.
So I'm going to tell you why. Look, you will find. So you also don't try to romanticize the question. If you want to ask, let's say, when do you listen to the radio? Between 6 and 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and weekends, for example. I don't know, then rather get some statistics on that, right? But my issue with that, because with established stations, it makes sense to always ask that type of question. Do you listen to these shows? Do you listen during these times? To kind of also understand where people are gravitating towards, either in terms of what they like, I'm saying in terms of shows that they do like, or in terms of their lifestyle. So, for example, they might listen to the breakfast and the brunch, and they might listen to the drive, and maybe, for example, let's say Saturday morning, right? Okay. And we might see that, let's say, a trend is obviously, so we can include a lot of advertising, and we know that people are listening at that time, include a lot of advertising, sponsors, competitions can be centered around that, right? But we can also then question further according to, let's say, Rams figures or listener quarterly hours, and see, okay, cool, like we're seeing it like a bit of a drop in the other shows, and it could be obviously our fault, right? But in this particular context, right, like it's irrelevant, because if they all say the morning, so they all say morning, right? What are you going to do with that? So a management decision that is based on that answer cannot actually, there's nothing that you can, I'm saying, uh, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? But you can't back up. I have to use just plain old English, right? So you can't back up that particular question with a business to make a business decision. Does it make sense? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
All right. So we'd rather leave it out in this type of situation because there is no actual purpose that we have to. The only let me just finish my train of thoughts there because that might be a bit confusing. Then, if all of them said morning, for example, it would then say, I'm sorry for the loud neighbor that's playing loud music now in their car. Everyone's allowed to live their life. Right. Damn, that is loud. Anyway, sidebar. Okay, so we can't now then go and now stop every other show just because everyone's now said breakfast is what we listen to. Does it make sense? Because that would be the logical business decision. Or it would also maybe imply, but not explicitly, right, that all the other shows are not that great. You understand? Right. So just let me quickly close the door. Hold on a second. Yeah, he's loud. Excuse me. Right. Okay, that's actually just not putting the kids in school. All right. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, let's think of another one. Try think of another one. Let's
So
go
what
with let's say
about,
okay, cool.
okay, sorry.
Good. No, go ahead.
Oh, what about what type of content would you like to hear more of?
Okay, so I would banner that under let's say so let's expand this over here, right over here. Give me more things that so we don't want to open up just yet. We can do a follow-up question here. So specifically we can ask them to explain like be more specific, like give us some specific examples of people like that you want interviewed or what top three conversation topics would you like us to focus on? That's a bit rubbish. Sorry, delete that last statement. So let's just quickly first, let's keep it simple. So here would be, let's say, student affairs, eh? Right? All right. Give me more. Yeah, Joel.
I just wanted to know that are we assuming that so I will assume what's the question now? I'm losing it.
No
The
worries.
the people that we are asking these questions, are we assuming that they do listen to the radio
So we
to be
don't
a
know that yet. I'm saying to you, right, because they could or they can't, they might not listen to the station for many reasons as well. That's why we ask the question later, right? But why do you ask? Why do you ask? What? Tell me why.
And I was just wondering with Dion's question asking about what content they would like to hear more.
Yeah, okay. We can. It's not an incorrect question. We need to structure it a little bit better. But first, give me everything that you can possibly think of here. I'm saying, what more, right? I'm gonna do this. Career, right? Okay, more. Give me anything else.
Health,
Hey, yeah,
health.
health. Yes, thank you. It's good. Health, uh, mental health. Hey, so health and well-being. I'm gonna say, no, that's under mental health. So let's just leave it at health. I want to, yeah, okay, let's leave it there. Mental health, family. So we're going to take the obvious ones. Family relationships, right? Another one.
Can we include maybe, I don't know if this is too personal or not, but status?
Like you mean sexual, like HIV positive, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So sex. Can I just put that under there? Sex affair? No, that's gonna insinuate something else. So say sex. It's fine because they can be banned underneath there. Obviously like transmitted diseases, that type of stuff. Obviously, maybe living HIV negatively or positively or whatever it may be, right? So great podcasts that can come from there, interviews, doesn't matter, right? Further, there's more. Keep going. Think again of that initial slide. So let's talk about so can I what can you so we can what can I banner that under there? Is that fine? Can I put social media? You happy with that?
Social media as in be active or
So yeah, I mean, we can talk about, for example, digital, let's say online presence. How about that? Online lifestyle. How about that? Digital
yeah,
lifestyle. That's better.
makes no sense.
Call it, yeah, I should do social media, digital lifestyle. Okay. What about uh brand awareness, or I want to say you see, if I say creation, that's one thing. So brand, brand awareness and identity. Is that fine? That makes sense. Let's just take that as a yes. Give me one more. Give me one more. Student specific. Come on. One more. And then I'll let you go. Come on. Give me one more. Think, like I say, super out the box, but focus completely on students. You guys are students. Does this wrap up everything about you? I don't think so. You guys are killing me. Okay, like four. Okay, so again, this is really important. Like self identity, identity, uh, identity. Right, self identity, and growth. Right, very important. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave it over there. So I'm gonna open are there any questions that are, let's say, I mean, concerning you?
Yes,
Leave it.
I
Yeah,
just
tell me.
about what's the difference between focus groups and samples?
And samples, you say.
Yeah.
So sample so a sample is like, for example, we're doing when we do the RAMs. So let's consider how many people there are in this country and how many people actually get interviewed or are included in the research of the RAMs. You understand? It can only be a sample set to represent the nation. Do you understand? Or the larger South African population. Do you understand? So it's a sample set that we are using to represent bigger demographics or bigger information or stats. Makes sense? Then a focus group is completely different. It's about us choosing a selective amount of people that represent different aspects of the brand, right, or the product or service, and it is a personal interaction between, obviously, brand, right, and customer, basically, right? So you will talk them through where they're going to, again, answer certain questions. You'll walk them through an entire process, you understand? And they will give you quality at the end of the day. All right. So I'm just going to stop that share there. Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, then enjoy, obviously enjoy the week ahead. I will see you on Thursday. Okay. And then I'll just reshare. So I'll just reshare just this update here to the WhatsApp group now. Okay. All good? Happy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great stuff. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll chat then. Okay. Keep
You
on.
too. Bye.
Cheers, eh? Bye, bye, bye. Morning.